Welcome back. We are at the Cubewise user conference in Paris, and at the moment we've got Chris Yates talking to me. And my first question is, how did you become a TM1 developer?
So my TM1 journey, if you like, started actually as an end user. So I joined a company 2012, actually as an accountant, and where I was using the TM1 installation they had there for monthly reporting, forecasting and such. An opportunity came up while I was there to do some advanced end user stuff. And it was at that point really I got to see under the hood of TM1. It'd always been the Excel interfaces or the web applications. I'd always seen the visualization tools with TM1, but it was really at that point that I saw behind the scenes and really kind of opened my eyes to how awesome TM1 is, right? So cool. I kind of got involved that way. Moved into an in-house system admin, and from there just continued to move on that journey until we got here with Cubewise. Cool.
And like when you were starting to learn how to develop, like what tools did you have?
So at the time, we had the vanilla TM1 install. Right? Okay. There was nothing fancy about it. Yeah, it was, which is good. Obviously, you see it from its roots. Yep. And I think it also makes you appreciate a bit more what's available on the market now. Okay.
So yesterday you did a great presentation about the tools we do have to enhance the model. So one of them is Bedrock. So as a developer, how does it help you?
So Bedrock, and for those that don't know, so Bedrock is a best practice asset. It's been created by the Cubewise code team. It consists of some white papers, some training manuals, and also a library of TM1 processes. And the idea with Bedrock is that it takes away the repetitiveness, if you like, of things that we all have to do in every project, right? So we have to build views, or we have to clear destination cubes, for example, or create cubes themselves. All these things that happen in every model, regardless of your business requirement. Every client can use, or every project can use Bedrock.
Okay. And with you using Bedrock as a developer, what's the benefit for the customer?
So from the customer's perspective, there's a couple of things really. They'll notice a dramatically quicker installation. Okay. All of our projects are rapidly installed. The Bedrock actually enables faster prototyping. Sure. So if we're doing a proof of concept, we can go in and quickly understand the business requirement and fire up a model using Bedrock. That really just as soon as possible gets feedback to the business.
Okay, and for any customers who've got an existing model and want to add Bedrock, what's the time? How long does it take?
Minutes, Alex. Okay. Absolute minutes. Yeah, so it's really easy. It's just a library of processes. Okay. Yeah, just download from the Cubewise website and install into the data directory, and away you go.
Cool. And this one's free, right?
This one is free. Yeah, it's so good. We're quite keen on having this collaborative approach with Bedrock, and it's an open source product, especially with regards to the latest changes that Scott and the team have made around Bedrock 4, which has been optimized for planning analytics. Okay. That came out recently in the last month or so. And so that we're really keen to get people involved using Bedrock 4, feedback to Cubewise code team, and just get everybody using this best practice asset.
Okay. And one of the other products you talked about for developers is Arc, which is this fancy new front end to help developers code. So what do you like about it?
Arc for me is in initial reaction to it was it's a great visualization tool.
Okay.
So you can see we've all used TM1 for a number of years, and the basic TI editor. It's not nice. Well, I think we can all admit that.
Yes, I think we can say that.
So one of my favourite features in Arc is the syntax highlighting, for example. Something as simple as just changing colours on your screen makes writing the code and analysing the code much easier. Arc also has some auto-completion with some of the syntax that's available in the TI processes. Which again just really speeds up the development because you're not continually writing out the full formula. It's available there just to tap into, and away you go.
Okay, sounds really good.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
And in terms of installation, does it take long?
No, again, much like Bedrock, Arc's a really quick installation. I think it's a one executable that you install the service on your server. And away you go. It's good.
Okay, and what are some of the features that the customers can use it for as well?
So certainly developers or in-house developers.
Yep.
It's really like an ultimate kind of developer tool, really. Okay. So anyone that's got an in-house resource can utilise it for, I say, that writing the TI codes. You also have TI debugging within there, so you can run through the metadata and data tabs, and it will record the variables that are being used. Sure. Which makes obviously debugging any processes a lot easier than having to export ASCII output like we have done for so many years, right?
Yes, yes.
What else? There's also has a rule editor as well. It's not just TIs. There's Cubeviews. It does Cubeviews. It basically kind of replicates the functionality that Architect has provided, but on a web-based user interface.
Okay, sounds good. And in terms of monitoring the system and the model, there's Pulse, and obviously there's stuff for both the customers and for developers. For the customer side, what are some of the things they can get out of Pulse about their model?
So Pulse for TM1, I like to call it the all-seeing eye of a TM1 model. It really does see everything that's going on. So you can, and developers or admins may monitor the system to check the CPU or the memory usage. There's also, you can track changes in terms of any of the TIs or rules that have changed over years. You can see who's changed it, when it changed. There's even a rollback functionality. So if you went in and did something wrong, it's fine. You can just roll back. What else is available in Pulse? You have the functionality of doing migrations. Yep. So there's two types of migrations you can do within Pulse. You can do a live or a hot migration. This is where you can move objects between instances without having to restart your TM1 server. Yeah. Which again speeds up any kind of migration process significantly. Obviously, some objects that need to get migrated, or some data that would need, if there was ever data that needed to be migrated between instances, that's where the offline or cold migration would come into play. But yes, the way that Pulse packages up the migration makes it really easy from a developer's perspective. Yeah,
and I guess it would also give a good bread trail of what has moved between.
Absolutely, yeah. It has a full history of everything that's gone on, but not just migrations as well. You can see you can see who's logged into particular TM1 linked workbooks or who's used TM1 Web. Yep. You can also, there's auto documentation as well, and one of my developers. Yeah, great for the developers.
You never want to write documentation.
Yeah, absolutely. And the flow diagram actually is a really useful tool, both for developers and for end users. So Pulse really maps out your entire model. Yeah. So you can see what processes load what cubes, whether there's ever any intercube rules, and it's really good visualization tool for end users and developers to quickly get up to speed with how the model works.
Okay. And between the customer and the developers, is it a tool for both of these groups, or is it more so on the customer side?
No, it's a tool that can be used for everybody. I think end users might find it useful if, for example, if they're having any performance issues, perhaps they're hanging or they're waiting for something. They can use Pulse, log into Pulse and see what is causing that. So there's no kind of the black box of TM1 anymore. Pulse really kind of opens up. You can see everything within Pulse.
Okay, sounds pretty cool. All right.
Good, yeah.
And I guess what's your favourite feature of Pulse as a developer?
My favourite feature of Pulse, I think, is the way it packages up any migrations.
Sure.
Where it captures all the attributes. You can go through using the source function, so you can see when things have changed in a particular date range. So if you know you've done all your development in the last week, you can select that week and you say, I'll pick up everything, which is really good because we've all done it, right?
Yes.
Let's not deny it. We migrate something and go, oh, I forgot that process. Well, at least with Pulse it goes, okay, we got that date range. Yeah. You did it then, and these are the changes you made, right?
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, and moving on to the Applique Framework, what is it, and why would you put it in your model?
So the Applique Framework is like the next step on from Bedrock, as we talked about earlier. It's more than just TI processes, which is what Bedrock is. It's some core modules that are available to any TM1 model, really. Okay. So you have you have like settings cubes, for example. You have some picklist management, some dimension management. All of these kind of components within the Applique Framework enable the process of creating a new model to speed up, and also the maintenance of that model as well. And so if you have new metadata coming in for your account dimension, for example, you have various hierarchies or alternative hierarchies, for example. The Applique Framework, you can load that data into a cube, and then the Bedrock process beneath it will then run and create all the consolidations and stuff. Okay,
cool. And is it just for like new models, or can you put it into an existing model?
Yeah, it can be implemented into existing models as well. Minimal configuration, I would say. It's slightly more than Bedrock. Bedrock is definitely just a dump it in and away you go. But there's some configuration required around the Applique Framework, but it's minimal in terms of the wider kind of model, if you like.
Okay, and probably the last question for this is, in terms of the users or the clients, what's the benefit to them for us in putting this in for them?
So if we're implementing the Applique Framework, it gets the model. But for a start, it uses best practice, right? Much like Bedrock. It's a way of ensuring that there is the best practice methods are being followed. It also gives them a lot of functionality that most models need, right? So for example, if you're using like interfaces that require pick lists, as I mentioned, there's a Picklist Manager whereby you can create all the pick lists that you may use within your user interfaces. And these will then, by using the Applique Framework, these are then stored for each individual user. For example, say I'm a cost center manager and I look after cost center 1, and your cost center manager looks after cost center 2. Now, when we go in for the first time, we will load up our month-end report. We would select cost center 1, cost center 2. When you then move on to another user interface or another report, that value is stored. So using the Applique Framework, it will understand that I as a user care about cost center 1. And that kind of follow throughout your all your web applications or your user interfaces makes for quite a seamless kind of end user interaction. Users wouldn't see it necessarily; they're control objects, so sit in the background, but they just enable this kind of framework in which to build a model.
Okay. And for any customers who are thinking about getting any of these products, what kind of support is available for them if they have questions about any of the products, or like they're using it and they think, does this work? What can they?
So it's all the products are available via the Cubewise Code website. You can download Bedrock, and Arc especially. There is some installation that would be required for the Applique Framework and Pulse that would require a Cubewise consultant.
Yep.
But in terms of ongoing support, we have the Cubewise forum.
Yep.
It's a platform whereby you can ask questions freely. There's no opinions cast. You can ask whatever you want about Bedrock or Pulse or anything about TM1. The Cubewise forum is available there. Obviously, we have we're all contactable. That's one of the things that I like about being part of Cubewise. Is that if there's something you're not sure about, I'll hold my hands up. I don't know everything about TM1, but if there's ever something that I need to know, you have the Cubewise forum. But also, we're global, right? So there's always someone awake. There's always someone using TM1 in Cubewise, right? So that support is available to clients as well.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to chat to me this morning.
No worries. Thank you, Alex.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time.